In this video, I'll share with you how I met with 35 factories in China in a single day without leaving the comfort of my hotel and got hundreds of samples in the process. My name is Carlos Alvarez and I'm a full-time 9-figure Amazon seller of 15 years, organizer of the largest Amazon seller meetup group in the world. And I've traveled to China to source products nearly 50 times at this point. But before getting into how I pulled off meeting with so many factories in a single day, getting all these free samples to pull off a feat like this so you can do it too, is it even important to visit with your factory in China in the first place? Or is communicating over WeChat or email or whatever you use, is that enough? Personal trust and strong relationships are two of the most important pillars in China. So important that there's a single word for it in China, and that is guangji. Think about the people that you're most closest to in the world. Unless you're pen pals with them, you've probably met in person and had some of your greatest memories with them from these in-person gatherings. As human beings, it is very difficult to connect, establish trust, and build strong relationships without this proverbial breaking of bread together, I would say at least once. Visiting your factory in China is a powerful signal that you're serious about doing business together, that you're invested in the relationship, and that you're looking for long-term cooperation. Two of my favorite Chinese proverbs about guangji are, with guangji, nothing matters. Without guangji, everything matters. And make friends first, do business next. So to be successful as a private label seller on Amazon, is it required that you travel to China to meet with the factory? I have visited most, but not all of the factories I've done business with in China, and millions of dollars later, 15 years of importing later, I can definitively share with you that with the factories I have not visited, I was unable to secure preferred pricing on my products, favorable payment terms, prioritization at the front of the production line. I can even see how my orders were never ready early and usually had higher than normal defect rates. According to Simply Psychology, this phenomenon is known as the social exchange theory and explains that human relationships are formed by the use of a subjective cost-benefit analysis and the comparison of alternatives. In plain English, when a factory knows the buyer, the relationship is not just transactional, but it is also social. Think guangji. The desire to maintain a positive, ongoing relationship will motivate the factory to provide higher quality products. So yeah, if you want better pricing, white glove service, sweet payment terms, and always be at the front of the line, then I highly recommend visiting your factory in China. The hack I'm going to share with you came about from my first trip to China and my plan to visit 3 factories a day. I planned out this 7-day trip to China so that I could evaluate 21 potential factory candidates for my digital hygrometer series. I even booked a hotel central to these factories to minimize the transit times. I was so wrong. Visiting a factory in China usually involves getting up early in the morning, traveling to the factory. Usually this is a process of several hours as you're going to be going across the largest and most densely populated country on the planet. Then you're going to share a meal with the factory, so block out another few hours for that. Then a factory tour, again, super important, but put an hour or two there. And finally, having tea. Everyone in China drinks tea. And then after all that, you're going to negotiate, and it's probably going to be capped by yet another meal. So as you can see, visiting a factory is an all-day affair. I knew this was an important part of building guangji, but there was zero chance that I could evaluate all 21 potential factories this way and not seem rude or rushed. A week later, I flew back, exhausted and frustrated to Miami, having visited only 4 factories, and only one was decent. To make matters worse, we didn't even have a conclusion on the negotiations. There was not a final price, and I left with a loose promise to be mailed samples and wondering, did I even get a competitive price? Here's my 5-step process for getting the best quality products, most affordable quotes, free samples from 35 factories in one day without leaving the comfort of my hotel. The first step is to request for a quotation on Alibaba, which is a fancy way of saying create a post of what you're looking for on Alibaba, and then Alibaba is going to blast it out to everyone on the platform who has the ability to make it. Check out my video on choosing the right supplier on Alibaba here on the channel for more on RFQs. And by the way, if you have any questions about that, this video, or any other video that I post on this channel, please drop a comment in the comments below and I would love to answer it personally. Once you've narrowed down the applicants for your RFQ, let them know that you're an owner of a US-based company and you're going to be traveling to China to meet with them. Step 2 of the process is to book a conference room at the hotel that you're going to be staying at in China. I usually book one for the entire day and it costs me about $100 USD. The idea is to try to book a hotel that is as central as possible to the factory candidates, which is much easier to do in China than anywhere else in the world, since they usually cluster factories together that make similar products. products. Step 3 is, now that you're armed with your hotel address and the hours you have the conference room booked, reach out to all of the candidates from your RFQ and share a calendar booking link with them for 15-minute slots. Let the factories know as well that all of the top decision makers from your company are going to be there, even if that's just you, and that you require them bring a product sample to the actual meeting. Emphasize in your communications you have limited time to meet, and there's a requirement in your company to interview the factory before starting any business, and that they should book a time as quickly as possible. I use Calendly for creating my booking links. You can use whatever you'd like as long as it automatically syncs with your calendar. Some of the factories are going to claim that your calendar link can't be accessed due to the Great Chinese Firewall that prohibits access to popular services like Google and Facebook. This is just part of the process. Any factory who is not willing to get a cheap VPN to access these sites is not a serious candidate to begin with. Step 4 is the day of the actual meetings. The magic of this process happens in the waiting room. As you go out to invite the first meeting to the conference room, you're going to see a lobby full of factory reps waiting to see you, and all are going to be holding your samples. So like, imagine you're sourcing red tango dance shoes and the lobby is full of candidates all holding your sample of red tango dance shoes. All of the candidates are now on notice that they are not only meeting with you, but that there is a line of people also waiting to interview you right behind them. The impact of this alone makes this process hands down second to none. Some of the best quotes I have ever received for products in China have stemmed from these sorts of meetings. Think about it. You're going to get their best pricing, no games. They know if they go high on price that they're just going to be undercut by the meeting right behind them. Many of the higher quality factories that I've worked with that do not compete on lowball pricing instead wind up offering very favorable payment terms at this specific meeting. Talk about a dynamic shift. Like, this is turning the tables on everything. Another benefit from these sorts of meetings is the treasure trove of data that each of these factories share about why their product is the best. The materials used, the adhesives, the manufacturing process. I found myself asking better questions about my product with each subsequent meeting. The first time I did this, I had 40 candidates booked in a single day and 5 did not show. This is 35 candidates and hundreds of samples in a single day without leaving my hotel. A list of some of the best pricing and payment terms I had ever seen. Even more importantly, now that I had it narrowed down to 3 serious candidates, I could focus my time on the ground in China visiting these important factories and developing Guangxi. Before wrapping up each meeting, I let the factories know that I'd message them by the end of the day and that the next step would be for me to visit them at their factory this very same week. Now that you know the 5-step process for getting the best pricing from your factories and not needing to pay for product samples, your success hinges on getting in front of the best candidates for your new project. Check out the next video where I explain how I use the free Alibaba RFQ tool. And if you love this sort of content, make sure to join the Wizards of Ecom Academy using the link in the description to get unlimited email access to me and my team, as well as thousands of trainings in our video vault. Talk to you in the next video.